So I'm Gábor, scared, and I'm come from planet Earth. Uh, I'm not a journalist, not a photographer. I'm actually an architect, like half of the guys here today. And I've been traveling around for 7 years. Um, this is everything I have for the past 7 years. Actually, I had more, a little bit more, but and this is how I travel. If I stand by the road and show you something like this, thumbs up, it means you are beautiful and amazing. But also, if you have enough space, maybe you can give me a ride. And this is my home. This is how I live. For the past couple of months, I would say 50 or 60% of places I stayed was pretty amazing. It was I swapped a couple of tents. All the tents have crazy colors, and I can't really hide, so I have to wake up before the farmers come to the field. And sometimes I parasite, like if it's raining. Yeah, in the desert, it's like the Burning Man concept. And sometimes I accumulate friends who join me. And this led to a project which I just call People I Meet. I didn't want to share any stories. I didn't want to do anything with you guys. I just wanted to travel. I wanted to be free. I had a problem. 7 years ago, I was working as an architect. I had a small office, which I created with my friend, and I had some problems with my stomach. And I decided, okay, this is it. I'm going to change my life. So I bought some tickets to New York, and I started my travel. And the way of my travel changed a lot. And until I became so minimal like I am today, it's kind of my job now. But what I want to say is I met interesting people, many people who helped me, and I decided to share their stories. And the beginning, I start with the stories that affected me the most. It was in 2009 when I met some people who were traveling from Central America to the United States, and they were migrating, and I met a group of students who, because these guys, they just have a vision. They want some American dream. They've seen a lot of Hollywood movies, probably like all of us do, and they had no knowledge of the desert. They like only 20% of the women that starts the journey, it was in 2008, make it until the border. This is in Egypt. I met a small guy. We couldn't talk, so he just drew me a picture. You can see what is going on. It's about peace between Muslims and Christians. Then I went to La Chureca in Managua, Nicaragua, and the situation there was the people that live in the trash. They recycle plastic, and there are scavengers. Sometimes they just trying to find some food inside. You can see cows and birds, and thanks to people who visited this place, I learned, like 3 years ago, they built them some homes, so now they are, I hope, having better lives. But the problem is the reality that there are more places like this around the planet. Then, okay, I skip all these countries. China is my 56th country. I came to Shanghai, and so what do? I don't know the people, so I go out and try to talk with them. So the first thing I seen these amazing ladies. Now I know they are Dai minority from Yunnan, and I asked them, like, how do you feel about Shanghai? It was their first time to see such a futuristic city, and they would say, like, it's shocking, it's amazing, but we wouldn't like to live here because we have clear water and nice fields back home. And then the majority of people living in Yunnan told me the same thing. It's really amazing to live there. Then there are stories. I will just go very quickly. This lady, she just said that she should not have sold her home because now, like several years ago, because now she could get much more money out of it. And her dog was called San San because it was the third dog of the mother dog. Now I met this guy. He was standing out of the crowd. He has 2.14. He's very tall. And he was handing out these balloons to the kids. So when I talked to him, I asked him, what's going on? Like, why are you doing this? And he said he's a professional clown. Maybe you have met him in some bar. And in some days when he's low, and when he sees the people are very tired and this city is really fast, he would just go out and give balloons, make toys to the kids. Even he don't speak the language. It's like really interesting. This person, he is retired, but because he's bored at home, he just decided, okay, I can still sell some fans by the subway. This guy was interesting. He wanted to draw me for money, and I said, okay, why don't I draw you and you tell me your story? So I just quickly sketched him, I don't know, just 5 minutes, and then this is what he did. Just like a strange expression, and he left. Then I met him, and maybe you know him. He's near Huangpu River walking like every weekend. He has different clothes on, and when I asked him why he does that, he said he's dressing according to the weather. One of the girls said that the other never smiles for the camera. She said, you don't have to invent this story to take my picture, just go ahead. These kids were going to celebrate their birthday party in a park, and they were happy to pose. These guys are actually the workers who built this very tower. And when I asked them, so what's special about working on the second tallest building in the world? They say it's nothing special, it's like any other job, just don't look down. I met her, and she is a designer from Iran, and she designs bizarre glasses. And I told her, okay, why don't we just take your design on the street, put it on the people, and let's see how they react. So he was scared that his boss is gonna see him. She said it looks like oval eyes, dinosaur, blue sun, and he said just great. And sushi. There were like 20 other people, but I don't have the time to talk about those. And then several months ago, or almost a year ago, I said, okay, this is my childhood dream to actually travel around China. And I set out a small crowdfunding. I wanted to do it professionally. Go in a small car. We wanted to buy like a used car. So I did this crowdfunding. We didn't make much money, and the Indiegogo funds took the half of the money, like it was like 300 I got at the end. So we just said, okay, we just go, and we just hitchhiked around China. He's fishing in the suit. Okay, this family, it was in Western Sichuan. It's an interesting story, a very sad one. The guy on the picture, the father, that time he wasn't the father, he finished his studies or a test, and he called a wrong number. And he heard on the other side of the line, there is some sad girl. So after a while he called back, and she said, he asked her, like, why are you so sad? And she said, no, my sister died, and now I'm walking circles around the temple. And they kept talking because he tried to cheer her up. And after several months, he went up. It was like more than 1,000 kilometers, and went in the mountains, and they speak different dialect of Tibetan language. And they met, and he figured out she's taking care of her sister's son, and also her mother died. And then they had their first baby, and the first baby sadly died too. So this is her 5-month-old child right now. And they gave a lot of money to the monks. They are hoping for the best, and let's hope they can continue have a nice life. I met many monks. I don't want to talk about all what they told to me because it's a lot of stuff. But he just said, whatever, in the future, maybe we all die in Wi-Fi cancer. He was living, I met the Kyrgyz people near Pakistani border near Tashgurkhan, and this person invited me to stay in his home, and he said 20 years ago there was a German traveler who asked him what will happen with this place, will they move away, like it's going to be modernized or something, and he just replied that after 20 years nothing happened. Instead of horses and camels, we just ride motorbikes and have new houses and have phones. But we're still there, we are still herding the yaks, and everything's fine. She said she was born in November, I think, and the fortune teller said November is a wrong month. So let's just put her birthday in October. So they changed her birth. Several months later, she had some problems, and her name referred to something wet. So the grandma said, okay, what if we change her name into Hero? And actually it worked. She got better when she was 2 years, just because of the name change. He's proud of his naan, because it's not simple, not easy to make a big naan because the ovens are round. She is saying that she's not a typical Uyghur girl because she likes rock and she sings in a rock band. I was invited to a wedding. She's a very interesting lady. When we met her, she was alone, and I learned that 10 years ago her husband died, and 15 years ago her only son died. So she lives alone in a house, and the only person who comes to visit her is once in a year, I think her uncle's son. And last year she had some problems and she don't want to touch electricity anymore, so she just cooked with fire and her sight is bad. A very, very, very sad story, and I want to suggest if you are around in Gansu, you should visit her, pay her a visit. You can find the information later on my blog. This is her home. He is the oldest paraglider in China. He retired retired, and then 3 years ago he decided he's going to do paragliding. And he said it's the 57th most dangerous thing in the world, like car accidents are more common to die. They constructed a car for his son, but actually he's driving it all alone. He took me to his village. I was walking on the road. He was riding his motorbike in different direction, and he invited me to his home. I stayed in their village. I was the first Lawai to go into his village, and he introduced me the whole village. There were many nice people, and he even convinced the local Miao minority to dress up for me in the special dress. They also invited me, many people invited me, they invited me to eat their food, and I would like to say thank you for the people here. They treated me very nicely, and I wish people are not only nice to the foreigners, but to each other as well. He broke up with his girlfriend, and he took his dog, and they went to Tibet for a couple of weeks, and then he came back and he took me with 3 other friends. It's actually easier to hitchhike when you are 4 in China. They are the Longhorn Miao people. I would like to say more stuff, but my time comes to an end. But I will say this. There are some people I visited last week in Guizhou, and they live in a very bad situation. There are children who, for example, this guy, he can't afford to pay 5 yuan to take the bus, so he had to walk to his school more than 1 hour and back. Then there is this girl, she lost her mother, not lost, but she ran away with another guy, I think. So she's now alone with her father at home. And the girl I showed you before, she made a collection of money, and she wanted to help these families, and she created a WeChat group, and she went there and she showed me all these families, and she was trying to give money to these people. I don't know if it's the correct way, and I would like to make you think about what do you think is the best way, how to I don't think solving situation in this futuristic way is maybe the best solution. I think you can go back and enjoy the nature. Don't be just inside the walls, go outside and enjoy the stuff that is for free outside around you, and move yourself, because then you will have some problems like me and you will end up traveling. Okay, so thank you for everything, and